Welcome, everyone. We are excited to get things started. So thank you for being here today, and welcome to the launch of our next product evolution, the Studio by ELB Learning. So we're excited to show you some really cool things today. So for the next 50 minutes or so, we will be talking about the new Studio by ELB Learning and showcasing some amazing experiences that people have created with this technology. And joining me is this great team. So I've got Christian Weeble, our Chief Product Officer, John Blackmon, our Chief Technology and AI Officer, Stephen Baer, our Chief Creative Officer, and our great partner, Chris Paxton, President of D3 Solutions. So thanks for joining me. All right, if you haven't heard yet, this week is ELBX. Now, ELBX is a virtual immersive learning technology conference. This webinar is just the start of a great lineup we have this week. So starting tomorrow, we have 3 days of sessions. These sessions are from industry experts on ways that we can all innovate our learning. So come prepared to hear from companies around how they've tackled their learning challenges. You can see products in action. You can learn about the future of learning and so many more things. So this whole ELBX event is free. We would love to have you join us. So if you haven't signed up yet, there's a QR code right there on the screen. Please go ahead and scan that, or you can go to ELBX online and register. Okay. So just bear with me for a moment here. Let's take a step back here. So if you could go back with me to April of 2020. At that point, for more than a decade, eLearning Brothers had been creating templates and assets for the most popular authoring tools on the market. And it had been an amazing ride. However, we had bigger things in mind. We wanted to expand and to broaden our reach. We wanted to be the one partner that you needed to help you tackle all of your learning and development needs. We wanted to create a company where everything was truly under one roof. So in April of 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic, we started the next big evolution of our business. Over the next 3 years, we acquired 6 companies and fully integrated them. We rebranded from eLearning Brothers to ELB Learning. We now have a global workforce of over 500 amazing employees, all with one goal. That goal is to help you and your company create better learning experiences. Now, our business is broad. However, it can be simplified into 2 parts. So there's products across the top of this wheel, and then services along the bottom. So if you like to roll up your sleeves and build your own content, then licensing our products is the perfect place to start. Or if you need to tackle a large learning initiative and you need a solid partner, or if you need to augment your team, then engaging our services team along the bottom of this wheel is a great next step. So this is the ELB Learning business. Now, as you look at our products, there are 4 areas that focus on creating learning. These are our creation tools. Now, we have brought these together and are excited to announce the next evolution of these products. So, the Studio by ELB Learning. This is the place to create, innovate, and motivate. This is the one platform to truly create engaging and immersive learning experiences. And all of this is in one subscription, one login, and one access dashboard. The Studio allows you to create learning content across 4 experience pillars: courses and microlearning, virtual reality, games, and video practice. We have aligned all of our creation tools to each pillar and unified them into a studio, again, with one subscription, one login, and one place to access all these products. Now, this studio allows you to have all of the tools that you need to tackle tons of different types of learning in your organization. These are tools to create multiple different types of experiences, all in one place. Now, this is just the beginning of our studio. You will continue to see more announcements as we go deeper into each pillar and open up endless opportunities for your teams. Now, the dashboard this is a single login, and it makes it easy to manage all of your admins and subscriptions, and then to access all of your tools, the learning community, our knowledge base and resources, all from one place. Over time, you'll see this dashboard evolve, and it's going to make it even easier to access recent projects, to get inspired, to manage your learners, run advanced reporting, and so much more. The studio is truly the destination and the one platform to create tons of learning experiences. Now, this is the studio by ELB Learning. This is just the beginning, and there is so much more to come. What I would like to do is stop talking, and I want to actually showcase different types of learning content that has been created with these tools to really inspire you and show you the power of this platform. So I'm going to do this. I am going to hand over the reins here to John Blackmon, again, our Chief Technology and AI Officer. All right, John.
Hey, thank you very much, Andrew. So I'm just going to go through a few case studies here that are created using the Scenario VR application from the studio. The first one will be from Johnson & Johnson, where they were rolling out a new surgical system called Elita, and they wanted something a bit more engaging than just some standard e-learning. The second is going to be from the NHS in the UK, where they had an urgent need for stroke patient diagnosis and care training. And lastly is Morrisroe, a construction company that had a need for their workers to be trained on safety regulations before they started work on the job site. All right, so I'm going to immediately do away with the presentation, and we'll go here, and we'll start in the studio, your place to start. So on here, we have all the applications. We're going to launch Scenario VR from the studio. Here I have those experiences that we were just talking about. The first one we're going to look at is the Elita learning experience. So as I mentioned, they were rolling out this new system called Elita, and it's a surgical apparatus for ophthalmic surgery. Had to make sure I pronounced that one correctly. And so normally what would they do? They would roll out, they would probably have some PDFs, they would have some videos that would go along with it. And you know, that would be fine. You'd probably get some information across, but it's not really the most engaging platform to put it out. So they really thought about what they wanted to do. And so they created an immersive experience to roll this out. And they used some pretty neat features in there. They did some things with green screen video. So you actually have the character they introduce you is filmed against a green screen, and they use the chroma key feature of Scenario VR to chroma key out that character. They also used, they rendered this entire facility out, you know, using the CGI. And so we have a very cool looking facility and some great things, some different transitions, which we'll see in just a moment. And they really made it a much more immersive, much more engaging experience. And it's just something that I think people will spend a lot more time with than they would have with traditional media. So let's go ahead and put it in preview mode. And we go in, the first thing we'll have the introductory talk. It goes for about a minute. I'm just going to watch some of it, and then we'll switch over to the other room.
Welcome to the Elita training facility, where we house Elita.
And I'll remember to share my sound.
Surgical laser for corneal surgical operation. The Elita system has a simple and intuitive graphical user interface to facilitate treatment selection, procedure planning, and workflow. Ready to learn more? Head to the Learning Corridor to discover more about Elita system components, femtosecond laser, graphical user interface, and workflow.
So let's go ahead and head over to the Learning Hall. As you see, hopefully that came across well on Zoom. You get a really cool transition as we go in. And this is where you actually see the device. And you can look over the device, and you have different hotspots to click on to give you information about the things at those areas on the device. So just a quick way to be familiarized with the different features of the device. Then we can go back into the lobby and then head over to the surgery center. In the surgery center, really brings us in, shows us the device again. It put it up on a pedestal there. They have lots of things here. So you have video, so you can go in and watch, you know, videos of procedures as you're going in. Lots of different 2D video. You have documentation that goes along there.
The Elita Femtosecond laser delivers next level performance.
We're not going to go through and watch all that. You can actually then take a virtual procedure. You can actually go through and zooms you right in, and you get into the procedure, and you have choices of procedures that you can do. And we can just go right in and start the procedure, in which case you're given the screen and you have to actually go through and select the things on screen as you would during the procedure. You see the different parts that you have, the different things that you have to do. So you can actually walk through this entire procedure. They show you videos of what you need to do on the device, so you can be doing this at the same time as you're looking at it on the device and see all the different things that you need to do as well. So lots to do there. So we'll just skip out of that. We won't take the entire procedure. All right, so from there, we can go back into preview mode. And, lots of, let's see, we'll go back to the beginning. And we will just walk through, so we can either return to the lobby. We have different areas we can go. We can go to Learning Hall. The Learning Hall is where you can actually go through and see some of the documentation that comes with that. We can go to the workflow area, which is kind of almost a theater that you can go to and sit down and view everything in the theater. Once in there, you can watch videos in the theater, but then you can actually go through and take the assessment. So they have a full assessment
Screen challenge.
Go through.
Can you the surgeon correctly installed the patient interface
So again,
PI cone?
Is very, very
what should you do next?
You really have to go through and interoperate with the actual device that you would be working with. So again, a bit more in depth than a standard PDF and video that you would normally put out with things. So just something that you can kind of create in there. Very, very neat stuff that you can create in there. Okay, for our next one, we're going to take a look at something quite a bit different than that, and this is from the NHS. So the National Health Services in the UK, it's one of our larger clients, and one of the scenarios they created was for the University Hospital Leicester, and it's on protocols and treatment for stroke patients. They had a serious issue after the pandemic hit, in that they actually couldn't bring medical students into the hospitals to train them, and they actually needed to get doctors out faster than ever. So they actually created a virtual simulation of the training they normally do in a live simulation. So when they did this, the stroke team actually just plays themselves, and they go through the same protocols they would do in a real life admission. So there are questions and interactions along the way, just like there would be questions and interactions if they had students in the room. The same questions they would ask the students, they ask them virtually. And the entire scenario is timed, and the students have to get through, and they have to answer things in the appropriate amount of time, because just like in real life, time is critical. So let's take a look at it. So again, they did several things in this, but we're going to look at one scenario, which is the CT scan results. There are also several versions of that, but we'll look at this particular one.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi, you okay?
How's it going?
Yeah, good.
As
I'm
you
just
see, we're
about
not-
to repeat a set of observations.
Fairly
so far
standard
things have
hospital
been
room.
Okay, it's been quite
A
stable.
lot going on.
Was complaining of a headache earlier, so I'm just going to go and do a recheck.
Yeah, we still haven't got. I
You kind of
haven't
have to
seen
take all this.
results of his scan yet, so I was going to catch up with Dr. Mystery and
Okay.
have a quick look.
So they're
Hi, the scans have just come
over to
through.
check on the patient to see how the patient is doing. So kind of two things happening at the same time. And then it brings up a view of the scan.
Malcolm?
You can look at the scan. That is a very bad scan.
Malcolm?
So they're examining it.
Open your eyes for me.
They're discussing it at the same time as she is looking at the patient and realizing
Oh,
that
she's
there's something
disabled.
wrong with the patient as that's going
I agree,
on.
there seems to be a
So you get that full
substantial
immersive feeling with many
hemorrhage
things
to the
going
left
on in the
side of
room
brain.
at the same time, just
It
like there
also
would
seems
be
to have
in
ruptured into the ventricular
there would be a
system,
lot of things
which
going on.
carries an adverse.
They then have to go and manage the situation once they've realized
A lot of midline
she
shift.
calls
quite
them
a bit of
over
edema.
to take a look at the patients.
Dr. Minnis,
Have
Dr. Mystery.
inset
can I just have
videos
some
that'll
help,
pop
please?
up.
Yes, of course.
For more information.
So Malcolm's now not as conscious as he was, so GCS has dropped. Blood pressure's now 208/109. He does still have oxygen saturations of 98%, but he has developed this new twitching to the right arm and leg.
And then they show you the twitch that's going on there, and you get to see a close-up of, okay, exactly what that would look like in a stroke patient.
Okay.
Absolutely.
which
So
was definitely
this course, as you see, they didn't really need to generate a lot of CGI. They actually did the entire thing. They filmed with a consumer-grade camera. They filmed the entire thing in a single day, only using the doctors. These are not actual patients. They use the doctors that normally give that simulation to medical students. It was taken out and edited in 4 days. They built it in Scenario VR in just another 5 days. And so they had 2 working weeks from camera roll to completion, and they got those students back in and training again. And they gave them the same quality training they had before, but just in a virtual environment. So lots you can do in a fairly quick amount of time if you really need to. And the last one we're going to look at is from Morris Rowe. And so Morris Rowe is a construction company, also based in the UK. And they needed a means to consistently show their staff and the contractors standards and expectations of how they should approach safety on the job site. And they needed them to take this before they entered into the job site. They have a lot of contractors coming on. They want to make sure they all pass the safety standards. Now, they previously used to do this by having them sit in a shelter on the outside of the site, and they would watch PowerPoints and PDFs, and they would then have to take a test. And as you can imagine, that did not go over very well and wasn't very popular. So what they did is they created a set of interactive scenarios, and they were all designed to be mobile. They actually were used on tablets, and they just passed out the tablets. The contractors could then use those tablets to take the content, and they would see the content in an immersive thing, move around, feel like you were kind of on the site there, see the site as if you were looking through a window. And they would then, once they had a quiz at the end. As long as they passed that, they had a record of that. It was put on an LMS, and they were able to see that they completed it, and then they were allowed to go on site. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So 3 areas. First area, hazard spotting, actually brings you onto the site and just kind of gives you a view of what it would be like on the actual site that they were about to enter into. Hired no actors. These are all people that were working on site that filmed actual things going on the site. But, you know, a little bit of information that you know who people are on the site, what's going on here. They pop a few things up for you to see.
Always ensure that vehicles and pedestrians are separated by physical barriers, and that whenever vehicles are reversing or manoeuvring on site, they must be guided by trained traffic marshals.
Again, will pop up inside the 2D videos, inside of the 3D experience. As you're looking around, see more vehicles going by, people walking. So, lots to do on site. As you see, it gives you a full view. It then has a series on hazard spotting, where you go through, that was hazard spotting. They have PPE, where you select the proper PPE, and then they just go through a quiz. And at the end, and pretty standard, they set it against the video on the site, but you take the quiz question as you go, and as long as you pass this quiz, it's recorded on the LMS, and they prove that you've satisfied the safety needs for that site. So very interesting. It kind of gives you 3 different things, 3 different types of things you can create in Scenario VR, but all very very quick to create and give you a much better result than a standard kind of learning. So now I'm going to go ahead and hand that off to my colleague Stephen Baer.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to take over screen share and just turn my sound on real quick as well. I'm going to show you a few things that focus on starting with Scenario VR, and then we're going to move over to the training arcade and show how people are using both these platforms to take the immersive experience even to the next level. In some cases, it's about really engaging them in a truly creative environment. In some cases, it's about starting to add games and competition and storylines to the table. These are 2 examples of clients of ours that are using Scenario VR that I wanted to point out before we jump over to games exclusively. And so this first one is done by L'Oreal, and this is done for sales training. It's for the purposes of bringing them through a variety of products and just getting them a little bit more excited about what they're going to experience in person later on. So I'm going to just show you a quick video. I'll play a little bit and then we'll stop it. Oh, let me turn this guy on.
I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Journey Digital Experience, and welcome to Train the Trainer 2021. This is the year we renovate and restore, but I'll talk a little bit more about that at the meeting. I am so excited for you to experience this incredible platform and learn so many cool things. First, I want to take you to the makeup section. Welcome to the makeup section. I am so excited for you to spend some time in here and get a little bit of creativity going on. Welcome to the skincare section. I'm so excited for you to experience and learn all the cool things we have when it comes to skincare. If you have a problem, we want to be the brand that solves it, and that is going to be our bye-bye room. I'm excited for you to go into each of these rooms, learn some cool stuff, and go back to create trainings that will inspire all of your people. But there's one other room that is really important to me, and that is the restore room. The last couple years, and also all the things that have changed for us, have been a little exhausting. So this room, my hope is that you go in and there's some really cool.
I'm going to stop there, and there are a few things I want to call out about what you've seen here. So first of all, they're very video heavy, obviously, and how they're engaging folks, but then they have a variety of little interactions, activities along the way. And then even if you take this example here, which will, they basically layered in the combination of film, small animations, little interactions, and they tried to make this whole thing feel like a celebration of their people, right? And so I really like the personality that they built around this and how they use this technology. On the flip side, I'm going to show you another example, which I love, and this is with a client of ours called CyberCatch, and this is around cybersecurity training. And this is a particularly interesting example because what you're going to see here is all the environments were built using the Unreal Engine and then layered into Scenario VR. All the actors were filmed in green screen and then layered into Scenario VR. All the scripting was done in a very over-the-top, fun way. So let's check this one out, and you'll see more of a cinematic approach to how Scenario VR is being leveraged.
HackOps, the first in a series of immersive learning games to become cyber smart by experiencing how hackers think and act. In this game, you'll roleplay as an undercover operative for HackOps, the good guys. You'll pose as a new hacker recruit for the bad guys, a notorious hacking ring called Dark Web Goat. Your mission? To learn the tricks of recent major hacks while impressing the bad guys and gaining their trust. Through the help of your faceless recruiter, Uncle Lenny, and your on-site handler, Hope, you'll journey to the depths of the Dark Web Goat. Dive into this fully immersive virtual reality experience.
Each floor is a different level of hacker. The better you do, the further down you go. Make it through the first 3 floors, and you're in.
Get first-hand experience with multi-phase cyber attacks by completing real-world exercises from a hacker's perspective.
The only way to vet new hackers is to get them hacking, right?
That's right. In HackOps, you're the hacker.
Once again, the path to success is finding an organization with vulnerabilities on their website or internet-facing assets, such as web servers.
Explore every corner and every clue to successfully hack your way into this notorious underground crime ring.
Okay, stop what you're doing right now. Restarting the process makes no sense. Once you get to the cookie, you need to get rid of the cookie crumbs. Now get to it.
Along the way, you will become cyber savvy by learning how.
So one of the things I want to bring to your attention with this is this was designed with a really nice, it's a 60-minute course that they built with a really comprehensive script with a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek tone to it, right? But they built all these environments and have you learning about cybersecurity in the form of putting you in the hacker's seat, right? You have to go through all these ethical hacking activities to understand what you want to prevent as an employee on the back end. And they really leveraged this platform to have it be more of an interactive movie. Really, really successful. They did an amazing job with this. And happy to share this example with anyone further if anyone wants to take a look at it. All right. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Training Arcade, which is another product that is within the studio. And I won't go into details on each of these games, but there's a lot of bells and whistles that they come with, from different question types and languages, multiplayer, single player, SSO integrations, SCORM, XAPI outputs, so on and so forth. And what's really nice is that you can take these and really adjust them based off of what your performance objectives are. And you can build all these games in normally under 30 minutes, if not under an hour. I'm going to show you 3 examples that I've seen our clients do. And I wanted to kind of highlight the variety of gameplay that you might be thinking about. So I'm going to play these all simultaneously, and then we can kind of talk about them as they're playing out. So the one on the left is a branching paths game. It's a scenarios game, and you're basically going through with different scenarios, interacting with different characters, really working on your soft skills, if you will, role playing, and overcoming different objections or whatnot, and seeing the impacts of your decisions. What you're seeing here happens to be custom animations that were built for that, but you could use Beyond, you could use Powtoon, you could use video, whatever you want to use. In the middle, you're seeing an endless jumper, so something that's a little more gamey, if you will, right? And in this case, it has questions woven throughout, multiple choice, multi-select, image match, text input, polling, so on and so forth. But once again, we're seeing that we're potentially making it less of a journey or a conversation and more about fun gameplay with questions woven in between. On the right-hand side is a new game that's about to be released. It's called Noodle, and it's if it looks familiar, it probably should, right? Because it's based off of a popular mechanic that people are playing today. But the theme basically is about vocabulary, word puzzles. You want to complete different themes different words based off of the clues that you're given. And for every time that you are successful in doing so, your bowl of noodles will basically fill up over time. You can make the questions as many letters as you want. I think up to something like 22, 25 letters or something like that. And it's it's a nice way to certainly have people test their different skills in a very low risk environment. So I wanted to show you these 3 because these 3 are all being executed today, and by our clients, and they're 3 of 10, almost 11 games that are in the training arcade. The next thing I wanted to talk about briefly is the arcade itself and how clients are using the arcade today to roll out their training. So think about games as a little activity you might play, and arcades as a gamification layer where people can play multiple games, get points and badges and leaderboards, do missions or learning journeys, and they can get prizes for everything they're doing. It all brings it together, and you can use that not just for gameplay, but for any training you're doing. So I'll show you an example of a client who's using this very actively. Chest, which is focused on pulmonologists, training pulmonologists across the globe. They're a heavy user of arcades, and so what you'll see is that they're putting multiple games and game types into their arcade. They're also putting their training into arcades, and they're engaging people through a variety of missions and learning journeys to unlock a bunch of information and level up over time. It's a really exciting execution. They have built hundreds of games. We see that the companies that are actively using this platform are often building tens, or I should say 50 to 100 games plus into their platform. Let's jump over to Chris Paxton now, and I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll talk a little bit about how you add a game into your course and how it plays nicely with some of the other platforms out there.
Hey. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yes?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Great. Thanks, Stephen. As an ELB Learning customer and a developer, I personally love the studio. Everything, as we've all seen, is right there at my fingertips with a single sign-on, and it's so easy to combine the tools to make some pretty amazing projects. So I'm going to start with or build really from what Stephen and John both showed us, and since Stephen just showed us some games, I'm going to show you how easy it is to put into Lectora a game for a final project. Now, some people may wonder, why do we want games in our training? And you may hear people, you work with people like, they're here to work, not play games. Well, I personally feel the most important reason is that games improve engagement and retention. When we are having fun, our brain releases endorphins that helps us remember things. And if they're having fun, even if the feedback lets them know that they got the answer wrong, they still want to try it again. Thus, they're learning and they're increasing that retention. So I want to offer all our IDs out there a little tidbit that I've learned over the years. If you're working with someone who will hate the word game, just call it an interaction or a more modern learning opportunity. It seems then they're like, oh, okay, that's great. So just a little tidbit there. Now we're going to, as we can see here is my studio. I would go through and then open Lectora Online. And I'm going to start with a blank page, although I did add a theme in here just so it looks a little more exciting. I would go over to my Insert tab and ribbon, select Add Game. I get a new pop-up window and it shows my 2 games that I have built in the training arcade. I'm going to select pop culture because those are the ones I always miss. Once I do that, I select OK, and there it is, easy peasy. You're ready to run with it and put it within your LMS or publish it wherever you want. Now, you can also build a game directly in Lectora yourself, or you can use an ELB gaming template. And I really want to remind people before I start this playing is that ELB has an amazing website full of information. I am out quite a bit on the community and the assets, but it's usually looking for images and cutout people and videos. And I just want to remind everyone to go out and take a look at all the stuff they have out there already built, ready to make our lives easier. Now, this is a particular template that is already out there. So all you have to do is update it with your information. I'll go ahead and hit play. And you can help this poor little alien find his kitty, Paw Paw. And everything is in there, it's just all there. So you can see they're going to roll the dice. It will advance. It's going to give us some challenges. Here in a minute, we're going to have to go back because I rolled and landed on a bad square. So I'm going to have to go back and try over again. This is already done out there, and we just need to tweak it for our own internal use. So I love that. The other thing I've been doing over the last few days is looking at several projects that just wowed me, and that's what I want to share next. Go ahead and advance. And this particular one, you may or may not have seen, but this ties back to John's presentation and Stephen's. It was developed in Scenario VR and then added into Lectora Online. This is a Fendi course, and their challenge was that they had to have 9 topics, or basically modules, and they needed to cover all kinds of things, including theft, which if you're in retail, we always refer to as shrinkage, fire drills, terrorist attacks. And what they did was decide on a series of linear videos, interactive videos, and of course, the interactive 360 videos to keep the content interesting. Now, there's some additional requirements out there. They needed everything to work on the employee's smartphone. Okay, no problem. But all 9 modules needed to be completed in less than 40 minutes. So that means, doing a little math, each of the modules should be no longer than 5 minutes. Talk about micro learning, but they're able to get it done, and their numbers are incredible. Once we start the course, which we can see we've just done, there are 5 cards at the bottom. They represent the 5 things wrong with the scene. There's also a timer to increase the anxiety, because if something's going to happen, it's going to happen fast. And we can see again, we've seen the empty area, no one's observing, the untidy, so it's hard to notice something's out of place, an open drawer, an inattentive staff member, and here in a moment, the dressing room. Did the previous customer leave items in there? So once they go through and select them all, hopefully within the time frame, they will go through and pass. But again, if you didn't get it, how many times would you go over and try it again and learn? So fantastic. So easy to build. How do I put it in my software? Well, just like we did a moment ago, found all 5 mistakes. I'm going to go and launch Lectora. And this time the screenshot is Lectora Online because it doesn't matter, or desktop, doesn't matter which one. Again, go back to my Insert tab and ribbon. Now, instead of games, I'm going to check Scenario VR. I would put that HTML5 in there, and ta-da, it's already published in the site. So easy peasy, very quick. And that's really what I wanted to show. So I'm going to pass it over to Christian.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here. My name is Christian Weeble. I'm Chief Product Officer at ELB Learning. We have seen some really amazing things today. You've just seen a few examples of the amazing learning experiences that we can create with Lectora, our advanced e-learning course authoring tool, which is the most powerful e-learning authoring tool on the market today. Also, Scenario VR, the fastest, simplest VR authoring and delivery platform for creating immersive virtual reality learning experiences without having to be a VR technical expert, and some incredible examples of the learning experiences that are possible with the training arcade games and platform. But at the beginning of this session, Andrew mentioned 4 pillars that make up the studio: games, virtual reality, course and micro learning authoring, and video practice with coaching. Let's look at that last one: video coaching with practice, feedback, and mentor guidance. Watch this short video with me that shows the process of creating a video practice scenario, assigning the scenario to a team member, the team member practicing with feedback and mentor coaching, and the successful outcome of that type of deliberate practice. As both a practitioner and a researcher into what makes learning possible, I absolutely love that our video coaching platform inside the studio enables an effective, deliberate practice learning model, where learners start with what they already know, and then put that into practice and push beyond their comfort zone, working towards specific goals for improvement. This focused practice with high-quality feedback through self-review, where learners can view their own recordings and re-record as many times as they need to, automated feedback by artificial intelligence in the feedback loop, and feedback provided by a live mentor enable learners to quickly achieve high levels of performance with increased confidence. Video coaching happens in 3 steps. Number 1, learners receive a scenario with a recorded example provided as a model or guide. Number 2, learners then record and submit their response, being able to review their recording and re-record as many times as they would like before submitting. And number 3, learners receive feedback, both automatically through artificial intelligence and through mentors and live coaches to help them fine-tune their performance. Video practice with coaching is perfect for helping learners develop soft skills. It's great for sales training, customer service training, and helping employees, managers, and executives develop effective communication and interpersonal skills. And all of this video practice with coaching, along with games, VR, course or micro learning authoring, is included in the studio by ELB Learning. 1 subscription, 1 login, 1 dashboard, and infinite possibilities. Back to you, Andrew.
All right, everyone. Thank you for taking a look at all the different types of content and courses you can build with our studio. Now, we know that we're all part of companies that need to practice real-life scenarios. We need to improve knowledge and retention and motivation. And we know that we also need to increase employee confidence with skills like with skills like sales and leadership and things like that. So this studio is really meant to bring all of the tools together that you might need to create all sorts of different experiences to tackle those challenges. Now, we've said 1 subscription a few times. So you can start your studio access with 1 simple subscription, but you can also customize that to meet your needs. You can mix and match our tools and create a studio that's customized just for you and your team. And also, if you want to add additional authors and creators and with various different tools in our different pillars, or if you need to add additional learners to different pillars, that's fine. Like I said, you can customize this to meet your needs. So if you'd like to learn more, of course, we've we would love to chat and show you all the different things that are involved. You can scan that QR code there to schedule a demo with our sales team and go into those details. And also, don't forget, please sign up for ELBX. This week's going to be awesome. We're going to have tons of fun together and go through all these different, sessions together and look at all these different things that people have been creating and walk through these different sessions with our, different experts. So please sign up for ELBX and please sign up to talk to us more about the studio. All right, so we've got some time here. We would love to do a Q&A. And so Stacy, let's see, no, Stephanie, you've been on and gathering those questions. Maybe we could start with some questions that have come up during the session, and then we could always open it up.
Yes, so you just answered one of the questions, which was about whether or not the subscription was all the tools or if you could mix and match, choose just one. So it's like you read their minds. Perfect. If you have more questions, put them in the chat and the Q&A. We've got one. I think this one is, we'll let Stephen tackle this one for the games in the training arcade. Can you publish them to HTML and then embed them in any different authoring tool or LMS, depending on what you're using?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways that you can publish the games. You can publish them as web objects, so you can put them into any of any authoring tools that you use, as you can see, including Lectora. You can publish them as embed code, so they can go onto any website that you want to see them on, or you can publish them directly out as a SCORM or XAPI file. So and put them right into your learning platform. So the games are really designed to be built and to go wherever you want them to go and to integrate however you want them to.
Very flexible. All right, thank you, Stephen. We do have a question. I think Chris would probably be a good person to answer this one. Could we sort of briefly run down the differences between Lectora Online and Lectora on the desktop?
Sure. I use them both, and it really just depends on what your personal preference is. For me, I'm very rural, and so I use the desktop more. But as far as they can all do the same thing. And the great thing about that, thank you. Turn my video there. The great thing about it is that they can play within each other. So you can take a Lectora package from Lectora Online and put it into the desktop or vice versa. So, there's some little things like it may be called the media library in one, where it's just called the stock library in the other. But other than that, they work identically.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think that's all the questions we have yet, but whenever I say that, another question usually pops up. Oh, and one other difference between Lectora Online and Lectora Desktop is that new AI course wizard. Chris, do you want to give just a really quick?
Well, yes, actually, and that can lead us in. If you sign up for ELBX, we will be talking about this on Thursday. We're actually doing a session on the AI course wizard, and it is amazing to help you, again, streamline. And I know some people like AI. It is a great tool to make our lives, again, a little bit easier. In addition to with online, you do have the ability, thank you, Christy, for a little bit more collaboration.
Yes.
Check us out Thursday for the AI session.
Yes, Chris and another person from ELB will be showing off that new AI course wizard in Lectora, and we have a few other sessions that will be touching on AI in different aspects of e-learning. So it's going to be a great conference. 3 days of awesomeness for sure, and that link is in the chat and the QR code on the screen, or you can just type ELBX online into Google and you will find it. I don't think, oh wait, question, there was one question, John Blackmon, if you want to talk about this a little bit. 508 compliance in VR.
Sure.
Is that a thing?
Yep. And virtual reality is really kind of something that exercises your spatial awareness, your ability to see and hear things, right? And so those are specifically the things that 508 or WCAG attempt to address. And so VR in itself is not truly accessible. You can add things to VR, such as adding in, some captioning, adding in some text and things like that. But it in itself, it is not, VR just as a whole is not truly accessible.
But Lectora can help you produce very accessible content. I saw Chris popped her video back on because she was like, I want to talk about Lectora.
I did. Yes, because I'm actually doing one at the moment. Thank you, with some input from John. And what we did is we just actually added basically an alternative experience for those who are using a screen reader. So obviously they wouldn't be seeing that HTML code from Scenario VR. So we're giving them kind of that alternative experience in Lectora. But again, you have got to put them together. The other thing I want to say is that, again, while Scenario VR doesn't help for, again, those visually impaired, the hearing impaired, and when we think of standard accessibility, for those who may be homebound and things, we've got to kind of take that a little bigger. Sometimes the Scenario VR can actually make things more accessible for some people. So you just, again, have to know the audience a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Chris and John. All right, Andrew, that is all the questions. So one last chance to register for ELBX online.
Yep, come join us. It's going to be a great 3 days. We're excited to just showcase all the different things out there. We have a lot of great clients coming on, experts in the field, and come talk to the sales team. Let them show you the different studio, I guess the components of the studio, and also I noticed that we linked to the pricing page there. We also have a new pricing subscription coming out that that's not even on the website yet. So you have to talk to the sales team and ask them about that. So anyway, well, thanks everyone. And